Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the alternator on this 2003 Mercury Mountaineer with the 4.6 liter V8 engine and the 130 amp alternator. And the items you'll need for this is a new alternator from 1AAuto.com, flat blade screwdriver, 1/2 inch socket bar or ratchet, and an 8mm, 10mm, and 11mm sockets, and a pair of pliers. Start off by loosening up this 8mm bolt on your negative battery cable and pulling the negative battery cable free. And then remove these two 11mm nuts. Lift the engine cover up and off, and then open up the clip on the back and pull the hose free. Using a pair of pliers, just push the teeth together on this hose clamp and slide it back, and then twist that hose free.
And you may get some coolant coming out here, so you'll want to have a drip pan underneath.
Now, it helps to have an assistant here because you now have to remove the belt from the alternator. So using a 1/2 inch ratchet or socket bar, just reach up here and stick it into the tensioner. And if you don't have an assistant, you can just remove the belt from down here, but then you're going to have to go through the process of putting the belt on all the pulleys again. So just loosen it up with a piece of pipe for some extra leverage, and have your assistant just pull it off the alternator. And carefully release the tensioner, and then lift up on this tab on this harness and disconnect it. Pull back this boot, and then remove this 10mm nut. You just pull the wire off and set those aside, and then remove these 4 10mm bolts and loosen these 2 10mm bolts down here on the bottom of the alternator. And we'll fast forward as Mike does that. And now the alternator will lift up and out. On the left is the old alternator, on the right is the new one from 1AAuto. You can see they're identical and they'll fit exactly the same. Take your new alternator, and we're just going to put our old one back in because it works perfectly fine. You just put it back in, set it down onto those lower bolts, line up the bracket, and replace those 4 10mm bolts. And you want to just get them started by hand first.
Then you'll want to tighten up the 2 lower bolts, and then after you tighten the 2 lower bolts, tighten up the top bolts.
Reconnect this harness, put this wire back in place, and replace that 10mm nut and tighten it up.
Ready to put the belt back on? Just take a check, look down, and make sure that the belt is still around the crank pulley way down here. Remember your belt diagram is here, so just check it.
Now again, if you have an assistant, have them hold the belt while you go down below and loosen up the tensioner. And if your belt does fall off, then you can refer to our serpentine belt video for the same vehicle and see how to put it back in place. But once you loosen the tensioner, have your assistant put it back onto the alternator, then slowly release the tension on the tensioner and remove your ratchet. Take this hose and push it back into place, and then using your pair of pliers, just slide that hose clamp back up in place. And if it doesn't pop open on its own, use a flat blade screwdriver to just hit the tabs separately. Take your cover, push it back down into place. Make sure those clips push back in. Then replace those two 11mm nuts and tighten them up. And then push that hose back into the clip and close the clip. Reconnect your negative battery cable and tighten it back up. And then you're all set.
We hope this video helps you out. Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.